Today we are going to be doing the third chapter of English, that is J.R.D. Tata. Before we begin with this chapter, let me give you a small gist about what this chapter is all about. Okay, you must be very well versed with the name of the Tata Group of companies, how they have excelled and they have spread all throughout the world, and how they are doing so well. So one such person in the Tata Group of companies is J.R.D. Tata. In this chapter, the writer is giving us a lot of information about J.R.D. Tata as to how he came into power, how he further strengthened the company, took the company to great height. So let us see. In the first paragraph, the writer is telling us that the year 2004 was very important for the Tata Group of company. Why was it important? Because it was the 100th birth anniversary of J.R.D. Tata, Naval Tata, and it was the death centenary of Jamshedji Tata. Now here is a pic of Jamshedji Tata on my right side of the slide. It was Jamshedji Tata who actually started the Tata Group of companies. He started on with a small industry, and then later his sons and other relatives increased his entire empire, and today, as we all know, Tata Group of companies are spread all over the world. For 2 generations and more, J.R.D. epitomized a way of life and culture of business that cared for the country and its people. In this paragraph, the writer is also telling us that all the wealth that was generated by the Tata Group of companies was slowly and somehow returned back to the people. How was it returned back to the people? All the wealth that was generated, or all the profit that came from the industries, Tata Group of companies, was invested further in schools, hospitals, NGOs, orphanages, old age homes, etc. And that is how the people of India were actually getting back what they were paying for. So, in form of schools, hospitals and other NGOs, the poor people especially were getting back all the benefits from the Tata Group of companies. The whole of that wealth is held in trust for the people and is used exclusively for the benefit of the people. The cycle is thus complete. What came from the people has gone back to the people many times over. That is what J.R.D. said. Now let us get some information about J.R.D. himself. He was born in Paris on July 29 in the year 1904. Jahangir Ratanji Dadabhai Tata was his first full name. He was a second child of Ratanji Dadabhai Tata and his French wife Suni. The Tata Group of companies was established in the year 1859, and it was already India's biggest business conglomerate when Tata became its 4th chairman in the year 1938. He was just 34 years of age. Under his leadership, the Tata assets climbed from 62 crore in 1939 to over 10,000 crore in 1990. So, the writer here is giving us more information about J.R.D. He was born in the year 1904. Jahangir Ratanji Dadabhai Tata was his full name. The Tata Group of companies was actually established in 1859, and it was already a big company. It was a big company name in India, and when Tata became its chairman, he was just 34 years of age, and under his reign, the Tata assets increased from 62 crore to 10,000 crore. So that is a big amount of money. So that is how he strengthened further the Tata Group of companies. Here is a small pic of how Jamshedji Tata started on with the Tata Group of companies. He bought a bankrupt oil mill and he converted it into a cotton mill, and that is how the Tata Group of companies' first industry began, and then later slowly, right from the year 1850s to 1860s, they began exploring themselves and innovating a lot of other things, started producing a lot of other things as well, and then in the year 2020 we see finally the Tatas have encompassed all the spheres of life. They have had products and machines and tools and gadgets, and they have been manufacturing a wide range of products. During the last half of the 20th century, Tatas entered several new businesses, many of them unconventional, and produced a vast range of products, right from airlines to hotels, trucks to locomotives, soda ash and other heavy chemicals to pharmaceuticals and financial services, tea, and air conditioning to lipsticks and cologne. The group was making everything and doing everything. One of its earliest achievements was to cajole 10 rival cement companies to merge and form the Associated Cement Companies run by the Tatas. GRD strengthened existing business such as steel, power and hotels. So, during the last half of the 20th century, the Tatas had entered several new businesses as well. Some of them were really unconventional and they were manufacturing a lot of products. Right from airlines say to locomotives, there was soda ash which was especially required for making a lot of beverages. They were even manufacturing that. There were financial services, there were pharmaceuticals, there was tea, there was air conditioning, lipstick, cologne, etc., etc. The Tatas were actually manufacturing everything you could name of. There was also one achievement that could be talked about. There were 10 rival companies of cement which were there during that time, during that period of age. The Tatas, GRD Tata especially, cajoled them, spoke to them and he made an effort because of which all these 10 companies were merged together. The Tatas bought it and together it was named as the Tata Cement Companies. Here is a small pic again of the vast areas that the Tatas have been working into. They are Tata Motors, Chemicals Industries, International Services, Teleservices, there's Tata Capital, and all these names that you are very well versed with, the Tatas have entered into. As an industrialist, GRD Tata is credited with placing the Tata Group on the international map. How did he place the Tata Group of company on the international map? Earlier, there were not many companies outside India that the Tata Group of companies had, but it was because of GRD Tata that the company's name became so popular and there were a lot of other industries and organizations as well as companies that were established in foreign countries as well. As an aviator and a pioneer flyer, he brought commercial aviation to India. As a patron of arts, he was revered by Indian artists, sculptors and performing artists. Under GRD's tutelage, the Tatas became the biggest buyers, promoters and supporters of art world in India, and as a philanthropist, he was respected for keeping alive and building up the tremendously active Tata Charitable Trust. So, not many of you know this, but GRD Tata was India's first licensed pilot. It was in the year 1929 and he was the first person who brought commercial aviation to India. He started the Tata Airlines long time back when there were no other airlines that were working in India, and today if you go to see, the same airlines are known as Air India. He was also a patron of arts. He supported the artists, he loved sculpturing, he loved paintings, he loved performing arts, and that is why under his tutelage, that is under his support, a lot of art colleges flourished. There were universities where students from India and other people were coming together studying something new. Also at the same time, the Indian artists, their paintings, their sculptures were being exported to foreign countries. So GRD Tata made all these things happen because he was fond of art and literature, and that is why he was very supportive of all such kind of artists. He was also very active in keeping the charitable trusts running at that time. All the organizations that were started under the Tatas, which were charitable, which were NGOs, there were orphanages, schools, hospitals, etc. He even further strengthened them during his time. This is a pic of his licensed pilot. The leader and the motivator. Leadership according to GRD meant motivating others. As a chairman, my main responsibility is to inspire respect. Sometimes referred to as a chairman's chairman, GRD adopted a management by consensus style. When a number of persons are involved, I am definitely a consensus man, he once said, adding, but that does not mean that I do not disagree or that I do not express my views. Basically, it is a question of having to deal with individual men heading different enterprises. You have to adapt yourself to their ways and deal accordingly and draw out the best in each man. So, as a leader and a motivator, he was sometimes referred to as a chairman's chairman. Now, why was he referred to as a chairman's chairman? because he dealt with all the people very affectionately. He was very kind to everyone working in his organizations. He believed that when there are number of people involved, he has to take a decision where everyone has to agree with a decision. Everyone kindly has to submit a decision, and everyone willingly has to take up a rule, or whatever decision has to be made by the company's chairman. He believed that everyone willingly has to agree to that decision or that rule. There was no forcing of any kind for his managers or for his people working in the company. He believed that was the only way whereby the people could feel that they are important in a company. So he said, and he believed, you have to always adapt yourself to their ways and deal accordingly, and then only then the best people can be drawn out from each and every company. And he was always supportive, and he was always ready to guide such kind of people. If they wanted to be on their own, like Sumant Mulgaonkar, he left them to it. If they occasionally wanted a shoulder to cry on, like Darbari said, JRD was there. The supportive climate he built developed entrepreneurs like Sir Homi Modi, Sir Adeshir Dalal, Sir Jahangir Gandhi, Rusi Modi, Sumant Mulgaonkar and Darbari Seth, and others who credited billions in wealth for the group of the country. It was an environment where scientists of international repute such as Homi Bhabha, leading lawyers like such as J.D. Choksey and Nani Pakhiwala, and economists like John Mathai, A.D. Shroff, D.R. Pensy and Freddie Mehta could flourish. Tata's personal interest in technology combined with India's isolation in the 1950s and 1960s spurred several group companies, particularly Tata Steel and Tata Chemicals, to innovate in their fields. So all these names that are mentioned over here are the people who were working for JRD Tata. And according to JRD Tata, these men became best in their own fields. Why did they become best? Because JRD Tata lent them lots of support. Whenever they needed any kind of help, whenever they needed any kind of guidance, JRD was always there. But JRD left it to them to solve their own problems. So if they got stuck in any kind of problem, JRD was always there to listen to their problems. But he was always very supportive and he was helpful. And that is why these people drew out the best from them and they became so successful in their life. All these names that are mentioned, you can always Google them. These people are very famous and they have become very famous in whatever field they have been working in. Also, it was during the 1950s and 1960s that a lot of companies came up under the Tatas, because a lot of Indian people after the independence needed jobs, they needed materials, they needed gadgets, they needed tools for variety of things, and that is why Tata Steel and Tata Chemicals, at that time the leading companies of India, began to innovate in different fields, and that is how different companies came up under the Tata group of companies. One merit that JRD Tata believed that he had was he used to get on with people very easily. All the managers that he had under the company and all the employees, JRD Tata would get along with them very easily. That was one of his best characteristics. In 50 years, he says he had dealt with hundreds of top directors and I have got on with all of them. At times, it involves suppressing yourself. It is painful but necessary. To be a leader, you have got to lead human beings with affection. Be that as it may, Tata spotted talent easily, and once he was confident that a manager would perform, he gave him a long hope. So he believed that in a long period of time, he had been dealing with a lot of top directors, and at that times, he was always supportive towards them. He was ready to guide them. Sometimes he was in pain, but he wouldn't express himself with whatever was happening in the company, because he wanted to draw out the best from each manager. So he was always there if they needed any kind of help, and he was always supportive, and that is why he drew out the best from all these people, and he spotted talent very easily. And once the talent was spotted in these people, he was very happy about it. And as you all know, all these people that have become famous under his reign or under his chairmanship is all because of him, all the support that he has been lending to them. A benign boss. A benign boss means a kind-hearted boss. So according to Tata, The crux of any successful labor policy lay in making workers feel wanted. One of the inherent drawbacks of modern industry with its large and concentrated labor forces was that each man felt that instead of being a valued member of a friendly and human organization, he was a mere cog in a soulless machine, because of which the workers' attitude towards management becomes one of indifference, mistrust and coldness, and often tingled with hostility. So, as a benign boss, as a kind boss, he believed that for a successful labor policy, all the employees in the company should feel that they are very important. Important while taking decisions, important while making any kind of rules, or important while working as well. So, he believed that one of the disadvantages of the modern industry was that all the workers were made to feel as if they were working like machines. They had no heart or soul of their own, they couldn't lend a voice, they couldn't speak up for themselves. So, J.R.D. Tata believed that all these things were wrong and that all the workers should be made to feel that they are important for the successful operating or working of any kind of industry or organization. He is easily led to feeling himself a victim of callous and unfair treatment, and little is needed to make him look upon his employers and his enemies and break out into open conflict. So, he believed that when the workers do not feel wanted, it is then that all these unions and conflicts start and the workers start to go on strike. So, the most important thing was all the workers should be made to feel like they are important for the smooth functioning of the industry or the organization. Only then they will work for the benefit or for making the industry or the organization profitable. So, that was his policy. One important thing that he started during that time was he started this human resources department, which is very popular during these times. Tata Steel became one of the earliest companies in India to have a dedicated human resource department. Expressing surprise that the company had functioned for so long without one, Tata commented, "If our operations required the employment of say 30,000 machine tools, we would undoubtedly have a special staff or department to look after them, to keep them in repair, replace them when necessary, maintain their efficiency, protect them from damage, etc." So, it was under JRD's tutelage that Tata Steel Company became one of the earliest companies in India to have this dedicated human resources department. What was the work of this human resources department was, it would look after the overall functioning of the Tata group of companies. Like if any kind of member, employee had any kind of problems, how that problem could be solved. If the machines had any kind of problem, how could they be solved. So, each department that was there in the company was looked after by the human resources department. So, if any department, any kind of union, employers union or say the machines or say any kind of other department, the financial department, any kind of problem they had, they would first go to the HR department and then the problem would further be escalated towards the manager of the company. So, J.R.D. Tata believed that the human resources department was very important for the smooth functioning of each and every company. J.R.D. Tata also believed that when you are employing 30,000 human beings in a company, like if it is a big industry, suppose there are 30,000 people working there, each had a mind and soul of his own and they could raise their voice whenever they wanted to. That is why it was very important to make it feel as though each and every person in the organization or in the industry was important. Only then the people in the company would work wholeheartedly for the profit and the benefit of the company. So, it was in the year 1993, date November 29, that Jahangir Tata died in Geneva. He made his money in India. Few addressed him with the full pomposity of his name, that was Jahangir Ratanji Dadabhai Tata. Some of them addressed him with his full name, but for his friends and family and for some of them in the world, he was just JRD. He was India's most well-known industrialist. He was respected widely for the contribution he made towards the Indian industry and also in aviation. Aviation, like I told you, he was the first person who got commercial aviation to India. So in short, if you talk about J.R.D. Tata, he was a very good industrialist and excellent, you can say. He was a very good pilot. He was a sensitive man, a kind-hearted man. He cared for the people. He was sorry to see the condition of the people in India as to how poor they were, and he tried his best to bring the people out of it. All the wealth that was generated by the Tatas was later spent and somehow given back to the people in the form of organizations, NGOs, hospitals, etc. So Tata headed India's largest industrial conglomerate with uncommon success, but this was only one aspect for his life. He was also a man of great sensitivity and was pained by the poverty he saw around him and sought vigorously to alleviate it. He also was a philanthropist who wanted India to be a happy country and did all he could to make it so. He was a patron of sciences and the arts, and a man with passion for literature, fast cars, skiing and flying. So, as it is said, J.R.D. Tata was a versatile man. He did not only stick to making profit from all the companies, but he also cared for the employees of his people. He started a lot of policies, a lot of rules for the benefit of the people, his employees itself. He also started a lot of institutions and companies for the benefit of the people of India. He gave a lot of jobs to the people of India. At the same time, he was also a sensitive man. He was very saddened by the poverty in India that he saw, and he tried very hard to bring people out of it. He was a philanthropist, he was a kind-hearted man. He was a patron of sciences. Like said, he started a lot of colleges for the students to study in. He also started a lot of colleges dedicated to arts and literature. He loved cars, he loved skiing, he loved flying. Here are some pictures of J.R.D. Tata. Here are some fun facts about J.R.D. Tata. You could just go through it. He got the first pilot license in the year 1929, and he flew the first commercial flight of Tata Aviation on October 15 from Karachi to Bombay. He founded the Tata Airlines, which later, like I told you today, is known as Air India. He established the Air India International as India's first international airline, and that was in the year 1948. He started Tata Motors in 1945, Tata Tea in 1964, TCS in 1968 and Titan Industries in 1968. He also set up Lakme on request of PM Jawaharlal Nehru, and later the stakes were sold to Hindustan Lever. He expanded the organization from just 14 companies to 95 companies under the Tata Group by the time he retired in 1988. He also received the highest civilian award, the Padma Vibhushan and Bharat Ratna, for all his contributions that he made to mankind. With that, we finish the chapter. Thank you.